Hello again, and today I'd like to show you how to fashion this, what I class as a golden goblet. Let's go biblical, and let's just say it's the Holy Grail. Still inside modeler environment. Of course, individual packages have different techniques. Some are all built into layout and modeler together. There are many good tutorials out there on how to place an image into the background, but for this demonstration we'll just use an existing model. Now centralizing the vase in a side view, we can click on something called Blind Draw. This is an ideal tool for drawing a line out. As you can see in light blue, point by point we can work our way around the edge profile of the vase itself, which we can click point by point on the top edge. It does have a central core, but I'll miss out on that. Working our way carefully down along the edge, down to the neck area, down as far as the base. Clicking on points and carefully as possible, just following the profile, which we can actually clean up, which I've created an insert to explain a little bit more detail of how you can zoom in, which you don't need to be afraid, but I'm just using this in all its glory, just full on screen. So you move through to the base, and you want to click about halfway along the base itself. You don't need it to go all the way around, just one half of its profile, because what we're going to do is to get into the tool as described, which is a lathe tool. Of course, automatically when I saw tool and lathe, I automatically think of engineering, what I did in school and woodwork and what have you. But this is very similar principle. This particular view that I'm performing now, that it's not really necessary. It's just I moved to a top view to align the spline line in a central position of the cup itself. Of course, you wouldn't actually look down the edge of a photograph, but it's just to give an example. Now you want to click on multiply at the top, extend to the left, and inside there you'll find the lathe tool. Now I can move over to the numeric pad, which is down at the bottom of the screen. Click that and open up the window, and here you have different access points: X, Y, and Z. This is X axis, which is exactly what we had in mind, ideal for a wheel, hubcap, etc., which is very similar techniques. And then you can move on to something which is the sides, of how many sides and subdivisions, which gives you a prime example if you pull it through. Shade view here, just to give you a better understanding. The sides, we'll just decrease them. You can see how it's going into almost hexagon shape. We pull it around, you start to pull more sides, give you a much smoother round surface, but again, ideal for a wheel. Now we've clicked on Z-axis, which is kind of described as like staring at a dartboard. As you can see in the top view, it's very thin. Again, this is not the axis that we require, but the axis of a spinning, if you would have created a wheel in front, would be ideal suited for that. Now Y-axis is directly a vertical spin. Straight away we have the axis as required. We have a cup, it's an alignment, almost perfect alignment with the underlying layer of the cup itself. So it's one cup on top of another. And as you can see, the inner core doesn't exist because it's just for demonstration purposes. As I just flick back and through the layers, you can see the original cup isolated, and also the cup that exists inside the layout. Now, just as a little sideline expansion on that, I've opened up Surface Editor. In this windowed environment, this is where we can alter the surface settings, which at present the base color is like a yellow, which represents gold. But further down the list, which is like specular, which I highlight on the surface itself. I'll pick out one setting here, which is luminosity. As I move the setting forward, as you can see, the cup will now take on a highly glowing type effect. Imagine if it has a mystical power, special effect, which can be controlled over a series of frames of an animation. But this is a whole different ball game. It's a whole different set of rules. Now, using the move tool, I'll just position the cup alongside the other. The stem may be just a little bit narrow. Maneuver it back can be placed on the table. I'm now placing this in an existing scene. We're prepared to copy and paste this back into the original scene on the tabletop itself, alongside each other. And I hope we've given you a little bit of insight of how this technique works. And this will work quite happily with things like if you had a profile view of a candlestick or a lamp stand, ideally suited, anything kind of round and upright in its form. Cola cans, bottles, etc., things of that nature. This is the basic technique that would be used. And just a little bit of a technical hiccup here that would be required is to open up Surface Editor again. Is right down the bottom is double-sided polygons, which, as you can see inside, it now has a shaded view. So you can rotate it around. It's pretty much close to the original model. Now if we were to go back to the actual turn on the Y position of the lathe tool, if you weren't happy with a particular area, like I mentioned about the base and the neck, the spline line wasn't quite in line of the profile of the vase itself, you can simply click on Edit and Undo, and it will reduce it back to the original line. Now in this state we can move and zoom in using the magnifier tool in the little box in the upper right hand corner. You can zoom into the base and neck area using Modify and the drag tool. So as you can see, I can pull and realign, pull on the points that exist along the line itself. So you can drag a point and move it and slide it around till it regains and pan around somewhere along the profile. If you have a hard edge rim, the ideal tip is to move the points closer together, and that can rectify it and tighten up the detail on those edges. Coming up is a selection of the models that I've made using this prime and core principle, and have fun and experiment yourself, and thank you for watching.